To get into the habit of not wearing lipstick out to our stock.
I'm featuring everyone's favorite shepherdess today, Tess. She's coming on to show you how an old lady can skin and break down a sheep carcass, and she provides a little bit of anatomy lesson along the way.
So what Frank's done is put the animal at a good height for us to work. Because the first thing we want to do is take off the outside wool, the outside coat. And we want to do that without letting the wool touch the meat. So we want to take around each leg here and here. And then we're going to cut like this. And then we're going to take these legs down, the trousers off, so to speak. And we're going to try to keep the wool away from the meat. So, if you don't want to ever be in front of your knife. You want to be in that kind of area right here, where it's almost like bubble wrap. And then you just press down in that space. So you're not really cutting into the meat, and you're not cutting into the hide. You're just pressing down in that space right there. So again, we're just pushing down. We just kind of pull the hide away, and then in that nice soft area right there, just kind of pushing right down there. And you'll see a lot of really experienced skinners will actually, once they get this part down, we can use your hand and just work it down in that manner. It's just sort of, once it gets started, then it'll be a little easier. Because any cut that we make through this membrane is a possibility of introducing bacteria. So that's why we want to do as little cuts to that membrane as possible. So we're trying to do this, kind of keep that wool away from the meat. It's not a race, it's not anything like that. Not anything like that. So this is actually for some of us. For some of us, it's more than we want to know, but for some of it's very exciting to see the insides of our beauties. And this girl was a ewe, and here we have, her whole mammary area. And you can actually, without cutting through too much, this makes it possible for her to have those beautiful little lambs that she can have and to feed them. And so, as you can see, this is her udder, and this would all fill up and be quite the bag. So what I want to do is keep this all intact. You don't want to cut into the guts or the bladder. So we just kind of, we just peel that back. Now this is a tricky part right here. Okay, leg comes down, and it's easy to go in here a little bit too far. So you just kind of keep working it gently back like so. You can cut down through some of it, but not, you don't want to just cut through there, because then you get raw meat started showing. And Are you going to keep this hide at all?
No, I'm not ready to
Okay.
I've got too many other projects.
You want to hold that right there? Now, when you are going to do your hides, one of the important things is that the first thing you have to do when you do a hide is salt, but one of the key things is to not leave a lot of meat on the hide. We want the meat on the carcass. So you see how here's our meat and here's our line, so we have to go pretty carefully around these little folds of skin, not to wind up with cuts in our hide. See, I don't want to leave meat on the hide, and I don't want to take meat off the carcass, breaking into that fell. So just take your time and do it nicely.
You'll notice looking at the left side of the carcass, the part where Tess is doing the cutting, that flank muscle is still attached to the carcass. If you look on the right side where Denise is doing the cutting, the flank muscle has left the carcass and is attached to the hide. Ideally, when you're doing the skinning process, taking the hide off the animal, you want it to look like the left side. You want to leave that flank muscle, that's the twitch muscle, the fly twitch muscle, you want that to remain on the carcass as part of your meat yield.
I'm sure there are hunters in the audience that are looking and going, what is that girl doing? Why is she doing it like that? Because I'm an old woman and this makes Oh, Denise, you are good.
I can hold a leg like anything.
Good assistant here. All right. Okay, well, what we want to do, since this animal has a tail, see, and ordinarily you would kind of do this and peel it down. We've kind of worked all the way around. People who know can go like that. Again, you know, the hunters in the audience are saying, what's that old lady doing it that way for? Guess that old lady can do it that way. So the pubic symphysis is this little bone, you know, it's the bone that holds our pelvic arch together. And so I've left the meat on both sides. And in the back here, she's nicely tied up the intestines, so that's not in our way, so we're not going to cut through that. So all we want to do is just break through that bone. And a lot of times you can just put your cleaver there, and in this case she's going to bring a knife and I can tap it. In fact, I might. Oh, here we go. So that's all we wanted to do. See how we just wanted a clean little, and if you could saw through that, but then what happens is you're sawing, you've got the anus and everything behind. So if we just do it this way, it's nice and clean and it takes care of the job. So now that we have our animals in two pieces. So now we're going to just, okay, now the next thing we're going to do is open up all the way down here. So I'd be careful not to gouge the urine or intestines or anything like that. So I just make like this with my fingers and then go down. You can do this if you have it, but I'll show you with this way. Just and then that would be how you would do it if you have that. See how this is like a lace apron? That lace apron is the greater omentum. That's all extra fat. See, this girl was not suffering from she was, and here we have all the intestines and so forth. And so you can do a whole anatomy lesson. I've not done this little keeper thing. That's kind of a nice idea. Because usually what you do is just make sure you got a hold of the anus. And then by him tying it off, that I guess made it to where it didn't spill out the other way. But basically you leave that until you have this pubic symphysis open, and then you get a hold of the end of the intestines back in, and then pull the whole thing down. That way you're not cutting through, you're getting all the poop out at one time. What do we have here? So you can see all this is intestines, and then here's liver. So we're just gonna come. Okay, now we went through from the abdominal cavity into the thoracic, into the lungs. But we'll just kind of sweep that away. And ordinarily you just yank it all out, but I kind of like to see the quality of the animal. So that's the diaphragm. You can see how that attaches to the ribs. So when you're doing the liver, the thing you have to watch out for is you don't want to get that gallbladder. It's kind of a nasty bile-filled thing. But that's a really nice, healthy liver. See, here's the gallbladder. What I want to do is, if you want to hold that for me just a second, and I can. Sometimes you see this gallbladder is all just big old, looks like a full balloon, like a water balloon. And you definitely do not want this. You got to get rid of this right away because it's got bile in it, and bile is, as the name sounds, bleh. So you could just clean that up. This is the lungs. And the lungs are normally, you know, that kind of pink. All right. And nobody, even the cat, won't eat lungs.
My dogs will.
Will they? Oh, good.
Well, I mix it up.
Uh-huh. But see, those are good, healthy pink lungs. So then what would be in that chest cavity, remember, because this is where the diaphragm was. So this was all lungs, and then this is the heart. And it's pericardium sac. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so now we've got everything all nice and clean. We had no problem. We don't have any bone fragments or anything. We didn't spill any urine. We didn't spill any gallbladder, any gall. We got the parts that we needed, the heart and so forth. And so then we're ready to dress the meat. So we don't cut into this because this is the most precious part. We really don't want to cut into that. We could just take this belly flap up the side. This is the lamb bacon. I just go by the shoulder blade there, and I just really want to separate that material, you know, same as we've been doing. We've just been separating all the fascia. See,
That's
nice
how I
and
do it, yeah.
smooth and easy. So get it started up like that, and then so I can get my hand under the edge of the scapula. So we want to get real close. This is precious, precious meat there.